Thank you so much for joining me. I understand that you're undergoing a major transformation project at the moment at James Cook University. I was wondering if you could talk me through that a bit.
Sure. So I joined James Cook University just over 2 years ago and joined with a strong transformation agenda. I'm a great believer that digital transformation is about people, process and technology. It's just not a technology focus. And so I've started with the people side. So we've gone through 2 major organisational structural changes in the last 2 years. In 2022, I redid the headline structure. And as part of that, said to the team, as we appoint people into the new headline structure, they will then work with each of you to self-manage and self-organise to optimise the delivery of the services that you do. So that's gone through the last 2 years. We're in the last end of recruiting into those new structures. So we've got a number of vacant roles, but the vast majority of it's done now. So that's allowed us in the back end of last year to switch our attention across to the process side. So we've got 2 initiatives that we're doing around process. We're doing a portfolio prioritisation and management layer, which is identifying the what are we going to do, and that's being run by one of my direct reports. And then I'm running the capacity and delivery planning, which is how are we going to deliver it. Now the 2 are necessarily joined at the hip. We've got 2 external SMEs that are coming in and working with us to co-design and co-develop and implement those new structures. So that's a significant piece of that. We've just today started the rollout of the SAFE Agile framework right across the university. So over the next month and a half, we've got 127 different product owners, stakeholders, and that going through between 2 and 2.5 days worth of training, depending upon their role. And that's, I'm really happy with that. That's a really great result. We're hoping we might get 100 people, but asking the senior people to take 2 days out of their work agenda to do training is a big ask. But as Roy got around, there's a real genuine level of interest in, yes, we do need to be more agile and adaptable, and here's an opportunity to really learn the frameworks and that sort of thing. So that's what we're doing around process. And then lastly, around applications or technology, I do have an applications environment that's far more complex than it needs to be for a university of our size. And that's largely because applications have been implemented either for colleges or divisions or directorate and not for the enterprise. So I've got multiple CRM systems, I've got multiple admission systems. We've got 11 support areas across the university that provide support for staff or students. So it might be library services, student services, the IT help desk, legal, finance, estates, HR. They've all got their own suite of systems they use to provide that level of support. And so the initiative I'm running this year is what we call tiered support models, which is really rolling out, essentially rolling ServiceNow out across those 11 support areas. But not just ServiceNow, but making sure that we've upgraded all the knowledge bases. So the knowledge bases are intuitive, they're easy to navigate, easy to understand. Rolling out service catalogues so that staff or students can look through a service catalogue and identify, well, this is the service that I want. This is how long it takes to commission that service. This is the custodian of the service. These are the SLAs. It's supported 24/7 or 12/5 or whatever, those types of things. And then ServiceNow, the tiered support models, and rolling that across the 11 support areas. So we're completing the foundational elements, which is upgrading to the latest version of ServiceNow and now implementing the ServiceNow AI offerings around chatbots and virtual agents and that type of thing. And then we'll progressively roll that out across the 11 support areas across the university for the rest of the calendar year.
Brilliant. I love how you said at the beginning, you came in with the transformation agenda. How difficult was it to get people to come along that? Because in larger enterprise size organizations, it can be difficult to get the buy-in from the executives to push forward the change. What were some of the tactics that you used to bring people along the journey?
Yeah, so I certainly had support at the executive level of the university because they were the people that interviewed me and said, we want a transformation agenda. And you know, I've done this style of thing for probably the last 20 years of my career, and that's what motivates me. I really like that transformational change, that coming to work and feeling like I've made a difference with how the value that particular organisation is getting from their technology function. The more challenging one was the teams that I inherited. There had not been a lot of refinement or structural change or optimisation of those teams for some time. And so when I came in and redid the organisation structure and then said, right, these are the structures that we're changing, I've moved to consolidate. My team in Cairns was scattered across 3 different buildings. We've now centralised them into one open plan, hybrid allocated, unallocated work model, and that's been quite successful. I've got doing the similar thing in Townsville. So I've got teams scattered across 6 different buildings and bringing them all into one real state-of-the-art, contemporary, open plan, unallocated, activity-based workspace, and moving from well, this is my desk and I've had my desk and I sit next to this person and that person and I've done that for the last X number of years, to a model where, well, I don't even know where I'm going to be sitting during the day, and I don't really understand activity-based working, that, you know, if you want a quiet time, you go to a high focus area. If you're collaborating, you go to a collaboration space. And I always say to people, it's no different from your house. You know, if you want to cook, you go to the kitchen. If you want entertainment, you go to the lounge area. If you want to go to sleep, you go to your bedroom. It's that, but in an office environment. But that's been quite challenging to take people on that change management journey. But they will move into their new environment probably early April, so about 6 or 8 weeks away.
Yeah, it sounds like, because when you started talking about that there were typically silos, you had a large range of CRM machines, different systems, the library, the campus structure, that can create also cultural silos. So are you finding that you're trying to bring people more together in this, developing those cross-functional teams to centralize and have a unified strategy for transformation?
Yeah. So we're certainly, I'm a great believer that while you're doing organisational change, that's not an appropriate time to start talking about culture. So people go, well, I don't know who I'm reporting to me. I don't even know if I'm going to have a role in the new structure, and you want me to talk about culture? So I think the timing of that, once we've got the new structures in place, it's a lot more stable now. People understand their role, their responsibilities, they know who they're reporting to. Then, so what I've done is, I've got my leadership team, which is 6 people. We've then set up what I call the IT leadership team, which is everybody who has people reporting to them. So that's 30 people. And I'll basically use that team to work on team building and cultural change. We've undertaken an employee survey last year. We've identified 2 key actions that we want to take as a senior management team. And what we'll do is do the same thing with that larger team of 30 and say, well, they're the results of the survey. What are the things that you as a leadership team want to undertake? Just 1 or 2 things over this year to shift the dial positively in terms of culture. And then I'll roll that out to all of the teams underneath them and give them the opportunity to say, if you just want to do the 2 things that have been identified, that's fine. But if you believe there are things that are more important for your particular team to, you know, as I call shift the dial, as our Vice Chancellor calls it, then you're welcome to identify those and agree those and then work on those for the next 2 years.
That's great, because that also matches up to what Peter Weil was saying this morning about being outcome focused. A lot of people in transformations might not have the right metrics to evaluate what was the actual success of this program. Did we shift the dial when it came to employee engagement? So it's nice that you've given the metrics and now you're working on delivering to them. You said something interesting, a term I hadn't heard before. I just want you to describe it. Check that I heard it properly. You said safe agile.
Yes.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because agile can be a little bit messy, a little bit experimental, a little bit unsafe in many ways. Can you describe the process?
Well, SAFE is it's an acronym for the Scaled Agile Framework. So it's an enterprise-wide agile framework that has quite a structure to it. And what we're doing is taking people and familiarising themselves with that structure, so that when we talk about things like an epic hypothesis statement, people will go, oh, I know what that is, rather than what is that? Because unless you've gone through the training, you'd have no idea what that is. But it's basically a loosely formed set of requirements about the hypothesis or the idea that you've got and what value it might add to the organisation. And then it goes through a lean business case and a structure. But I want everybody who's a product owner or a stakeholder in the rollout of technology to be familiar with those terms and the framework, so that as we roll that across the organisation, they'll have the context to respond and know, oh yeah, I know my role in development of this particular artefact.